One of my biggest hobbies that I like to do, and one thing that I think is really important that isn't very well noticed in the world, something that we look past a lot, is welding. I think there are a lot of people out there that don't know what welding is or just don't understand what it is. There are some people that I've talked to that haven't heard of it at all, when really it's a big contribution to the world we live in, such as like the buildings that we have, the cars that we drive, and we just don't even think about it. So today I want to talk about the ins and outs of welding, what it is, how to do it, and why it's useful and why it's important. So starting out with what it is, mainly it's just, it's a way of working with metal. It's whenever two pieces of metal are joined together with heat and electricity. There's three types of welding. There is stick welding, MIG welding, and TIG welding. The main differences between them are just like the different metals that you're using, the thickness of the metal, the type, and what you're doing with it. The way that welding works, electricity is used to melt the metal, and that's what joins it together. So it's kind of like glue, except with metal. The electricity uses the metal, uses the guns and the wire in the metal. It creates a fusion, and it heats it up to the point where it melts it, and then they end up sticking together. One article that has some really good information on how to weld and the different parts of it, it's called Master Basic Welding Skills Step by Step. It's by Mike Allen. It tells you the different steps, how you start it, why you're doing it, and then each part to it. There's a lot of different things that you need when you weld. You need a helmet to protect your eyes because of the brightness that it causes. You usually need gloves because it sparks a lot and because it's very hot. You need welding either rods or wire, which is what you use. It touches the metal that actually melts it and causes the arc and the electricity. And then another thing that's associated with it whenever you do it and how you do it is the amperages that you're using. So the thicker the metal and the hotter you need it to burn is the higher that you need your amps. And then lastly, why it's useful and why it's important. Like I said in the introduction, we overlook it a lot. So if we didn't have welding, we wouldn't have a lot of the metal work that we have today. We wouldn't have the buildings that we have. We wouldn't have cars. We would have them, but they just wouldn't be as advanced. Another reason why it's useful, and kind of why I think that it needs to be more pointed out and explained and educated, there's a lack of education about it, and then there's also a lack of welders. So the American Welding Society president, David McCade, said that he thinks by 2025 there's going to be about 400,000 less welding professionals in the world. Actually in the U.S. is what he said. So we already have a very large lack of welders out there, and the further we go along without educating people on what it is, the worse it's going to get, and the less people we're going to have that know how to do it, and the less people we're going to have knowing about it, there's going to be no one to even be interested in the field. So a lot of times whenever people ask me what I like to do, I point it out, I explain it to them just so more people know about it. So I hope today you've learned a little bit more about what it is, how to do it, and why it's important to me and why it's important to everyone, why it's important that we continue to educate people, and why we need more people to do it.